Hi, my name's John Paradiso. I'm in studio number 4 at Portico Gallery and Studios, and welcome to the 16th annual Gateway Open Studio Tour. I'm going to show you my studio and highlight several pieces, and hopefully someday you'll be able to make an appointment and come take a look at the studio in person. Like I said, I'm in Portico Gallery and Studios, so all the studios are right off the gallery. My studio is about 300 square feet, and it's a really nice workspace. I really enjoy it. And here's a couple of collage quilts. This one's Proceed with Caution. I take pansy fabric and cut it out the pansies themselves and then layer that with the caution tape. And I printed these guys kissing onto fabric and then just collaged it all. My thought was using guys kissing is very intimate, yet just simply lovely. My second quilt collage is Samuel Stewart, Ohio Star. This one has a carved headboard. Also, I've printed on paper and then sewn that for detail. Samuel Stewart, I read an autobiography on him. He's from Ohio. He was a scholar, but he also was a friend of Alfred Kinsey's, and he documented all the sex he had with men, and they became friends, and it became part of his research. Samuel Stewart is the center square of the center square, and I also put a picture of myself to the right of him. When I start a collage quilt, I have an idea and then I just start collecting different pieces that I might print or want to put together, and I print them on paper and then cut them up and just start laying them out to see what all I want to do with it. So I'm working on creating a new collage quilt that's going to be called Resist Dying, Resist Dying, and it is an homage to ACT UP and all the medical discoveries from the 80s and 90s. Also using fabric that is batik, and that's a resist dyeing method. As we look at the other walls, my back wall, I just have a lot of different things pinned to it. I like a lot of imagery around me. I like my mistakes, my practice stuff. That's just what I'm showing you, some visuals that you would have seen if you had been in the studio. Then I want to talk about my centerfold fairies. I use actual centerfolds, and I use pansy fabric that I cut out and put together. And this idea came to me from a memory of meeting these two radical fairies in the woods of Brattleboro, Vermont. And at one point, I was walking through the woods, and as I walked by these huge thicket of ferns, I saw these two guys sort of squatting down in them. And as I walked by, I just sort of caught the eye and the smile of one of them. And I just knew not to say anything and keep walking because I figured they were communing with the fairies in the forest. And this sort of became my sort of interpretation of that memory. Now I want to show you some of my stitched work. I start with a line drawing and I stitch out what I'm going to do, and then I usually stitch the whole background out, adding many stitches, and then the actual fabric pattern becomes the flesh of the figure. This one's called Spring. So the whole background is hand stitched and filled in with thread. As this one is, I followed the pattern of the paisley in the background, used orange. And then this bare fruit is a little bit different in that I didn't fill the whole background, and I also stitched the hair, or my interpretation of hair, on a hairy guy, And so not only is the background a bunch of stitch after stitch after stitch to make the solid color, I also created the hair on the head, the chest hair, the layers of the thickness, the underarm hair, the pubes. It's my most detailed piece, and I think my favorite. And here's a couple of leather pansies, same basic style. Nice little piece. The last several pieces I want to show you, I collage using found images along with Martha Stewart craft paper and crocheted doilies. And I really like the way these have come out. I've been able to figure out a way to mount them, be able to see through the doily, and then varnish them. They all have their own sort of feel to them, but really love them. And here's just another shot of that wall so you get a sense of the work again in context. And that portrait at the end of the wall, that's the painter Robert Farber. I was his studio assistant and his personal assistant for the last 3 years of his life. He died in 1995 of HIV/AIDS. And he was a mentor and a friend, and I hang his portrait in every studio I've had. This portrait was taken by Tim Gherkin at the Edward Albee Foundation. Then there's another shot of the gallery, and that's the end of my tour. So I hope that you enjoyed your visit, and please get a hold of me if you want to know anything more about the work, or if you'd like to ever come and visit the studio in person. Thanks again. Take care.